Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for being happy that karma is getting my ex-husband tenfold? I'm 31, F, and ex-husband is 33, M. We were married for 7 years. I was naive back then and didn't know who I was marrying. So in part some of it feels like my fault for not being more vigilant or walking away much sooner. As we all know, there are two sides to every story, but that was the most miserable 7 years I ever had. Between his drinking and poor financial habits, to his constant disregard for me or our lack of ability to communicate, I was not having a good time. There were days I'd have full mental breakdowns and he would mock me or try to diminish who I was as person during the episode. He thought very highly of himself to the point that many who know of him believe him to be an actual narcissist. If you've ever dated or have been married to a narcissist, then you know the emotional warfare they put you through. He would make me second-guess myself in arguments or daily conversation. I was beginning to think my memory was truly glitching. Whenever I'd attempt to bring up him not drinking anymore, he would give me ultimatums about how much he should be allowed to drink or I could leave if I didn't like it. I could never discuss finances with him because it would always lead to a big fight. Eventually, I stopped bringing it up, and we would be in constant financial crisis month to month even though we both have decent paying jobs. I'd be in line to pay for groceries he knew I was going out for, check our bank account in the morning before heading out, and then by the time I'd get to the store to check out, my card was declining. Every week our account would be negative in the hundreds. It was so bad he took out loans without my knowledge, opened credit cards, and would finance things without communicating with me. So between his drinking, vaping, buying food out all the time instead of taking leftovers I made or lunch I'd pack, loans, financing, and credit cards, we never had money. He was very verbally abusive and would try different tactics on me. From talking to me like a child when I was becoming more and more upset, to pushing me into a corner despite asking to step away from the conversation for a bit, to blowing up on me or being tactfully calm after he pushed me so far that I'd end up blowing up. It was exhausting to try to talk to him about anything, because I never knew what was going to happen. Don't get me started about sex. He was not a nice or loving person when it came to sex. He was very coercive and pushy for years and years. Despite me sharing with him numerous times that I struggled with intimacy due to being our *ped as a child and teen. The more he would push me or make me feel bad, the harder it was to get aroused. I started feeling like something was wrong with me. When I'd be alone, I'd cry and ask myself why I can't be like other women. I was attracted to him, but it was hard for me. He would take it personal or say things like husbands and wives need to have sex or it's not going to work out. There was hardly ever any foreplay for me or warming up leading into sex. Sometimes I would let him do what he wanted so I could be left alone afterward. It never felt loving or comfortable. He would berate me for going to friends or family for advice. It pissed him off to no end for me to seek out help from people who cared about me. Saying things like, all you do is talk shit about me, you're always the victim, run away and tell everyone our business, because that's what you do best. I couldn't talk to anyone other than him about our business in his eyes, or else I was defying him or making him look bad. Eventually, it led up to our 7-year mark where I asked for some time apart after he stopped trying at his job and went into a depressive period. He wanted me to be there for him, but he was so much worse than before. So truthfully, I didn't know how to keep supporting that anymore. I wanted out. When I approached him for the separation, he was sad, but supportive at first. Then one morning he completely flipped out on me as we were getting ready for work and demanded a divorce instead. He did not want to try to reconcile later or do anything to attempt to get back together after some time had passed, because he said that he didn't trust me. He made allegations that it's so I can go sleep with whoever I want to and then come back when I'm done. It couldn't have been further from the truth, but he was always accusing me of cheating. Of course I cried and had to go to work like that, at the time sharing only one vehicle I paid for, because he destroyed our second car. So I had to ride an uncomfortable and emotional 40 minutes to work with him, trying to manage my emotions throughout the day. It was not fun. But like everything else, I kept going. The weeks that led up to me moving out, paying all of the last month's bill in our home so he wouldn't have to, etc. It was a nightmare. He would go from regretting me leaving to threatening me, cussing me out late at night over the phone, to being calm/forgiving again. Soon he revealed that a coworker he was friends with had slept together while we were still married, and it was someone I had already been concerned about, considering how close they became over 3 years. Confiding in her about details of our marriage, coming to her constant defense, being strongly supportive and caring towards her. It was no surprise, but I was still angry when he used it as a tactic to rub my nose in it. Mind you, this is when our divorce hadn't been finalized and I only moved out of our house a few weeks prior, leaving him with just about everything but my own car. Their relationship didn't work out, shocking I know, which led to him trying to come back months later. When I denied him and confirmed it was fully over between us, he freaked out. Stalked my house, threatened me, harassed my family, and eventually I had to call the police on him. Since then he got a better job, got himself his own car, and was planning on moving out of our old house. He rubbed his new job in my face and told me he'd be just fine without me. Lately I've heard that he got his car repossessed, got evicted from our old house before he could move, lost his fancy job, and now lives with roommates somewhere I'm not aware of. On top of that, Aaron's, a furniture financing store, called me the other day as for some reason I'm on file as one of his contacts with them, trying to contact him before they take him to court for theft due to him not paying them a cent and moving without telling them. After all he put me through, I laughed myself silly. But on a smallish part of my conscience I still feel bad for him, because this was someone I loved and spent many years with. Though he did me the biggest favor I could ever ask for by telling me he wanted that divorce. Thank God. What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for uninviting my fiancé's work wife from our wedding? I, 29F, am supposed to be marrying the love of my life, 31M, in a few months. We've been planning this wedding for over a year, and it's been a beautiful, but stressful, experience. But there's one person casting a shadow over everything, and that's my fiancé's work wife, Lily, 30F. Let me backtrack a little. My fiancé and Lily have been friends and co-workers for around 5 years. At first, I was honestly relieved he had a good friend at work, especially since his job can be demanding and a bit isolating. I tried to be the cool, understanding partner who wasn't bothered by how close they were. But over time, their bond became, well, it became something I just don't know how to handle. Lily is a huge part of his life. They text constantly, often late into the night, about everything from work issues to little jokes. She knows things about him that I sometimes don't, and it stings to realize how much he turns to her for advice and laughs instead of me. My fiancé reassures me that they're just friends, that she's his work wife, and that it's no big deal. But it feels like she's gotten so close that I'm sometimes the one on the outside looking in. As we got deeper into wedding planning, Lily started chiming in with her opinions. She had suggestions about our venue. It doesn't feel like him, our flowers, he's never liked bright colors, remember, and even my dress, mentioning offhandedly that she knew his style and could help me pick something he'd love. I tried to laugh it off, but it hurt more than I wanted to admit. Here I am planning my wedding, and I felt like I had to measure up to her view of who my fiancé is. Last week was our engagement party, and it was supposed to be such a happy day. But I kept noticing Lily glued to his side. I tried to join their conversations, but every time, she'd bring up a work story or inside joke that left me feeling like a third wheel at my own engagement. Then, in one of the worst moments, I walked up just as she was saying, "You know, if you change your mind, you could always marry me instead." My heart sank. I didn't know if she was joking or half serious, but my fiancé laughed, brushing it off like it was no big deal. I couldn't just let it go. I pulled my fiancé aside later that night and told him how inappropriate her comment was. He looked at me, surprised, and said I was taking it too seriously and that Lily was just playing around. I felt like I was going crazy, like maybe I was seeing something that wasn't there, but how would anyone be okay hearing that from someone so close to their fiancé? The last straw came toward the end of the night. Lily had had a few drinks, and she came up to me, asking if I was really okay with how close they were. She said something like, I can't imagine him with anyone else. It felt like a knife to my chest. I wanted to scream, but instead, I just walked away. Later, I told my fiancé I didn't want her at our wedding, that it was too painful to have someone there who clearly saw herself as part of our relationship. He got defensive, saying I was overreacting and letting jealousy ruin a friendship he cherishes. He even implied that uninviting her would damage his reputation at work, and now he's barely talking to me because he says I'm making him choose between his best friend and his fiancée. I don't know what to think anymore. I feel hurt, small, and like my feelings don't matter. My friends support me, but his friends think I'm overreacting and letting insecurity ruin our relationship. Am I the one blowing this up, or am I right to want some respect and boundaries? Am I the bad person for asking him to uninvite her from our wedding after everything that's happened? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.